Hello everyone and welcome to the day 4 of digital marketing series. This session is all about Google Ads tutorial. In this session, you will learn all about Google Ads and Google marketing. So without further wait, let's start the session.
Before we start the session, kindly subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates.
So this is Google Ads, and this is fundamentally what Google Ads does, right? It just helps you create ads, display those ads, and make sure that your bidding happens there properly, right? So fundamentally, what Google Ads help you do is all of these things, right? So not only do you do serve advertising, but when you're a marketer, when you're a business owner, you also want to see how the advertisement is performing. So Google Ads itself will give you suggestions. So don't worry. So when you actually start learning Google Ads, you only need some direction and guidance from a class or an expert, just like what's happening right now. A lot of those micro details, the platform itself will teach you. Got it? So now I want you guys to take a step back, because we are going to discuss something a little bit more than search. Okay, so like I said, there is Google Ads, which facilitates search, but search is not the only thing that Google Ads help you manage. Okay, therefore, instead of just discussing search, we have to take one step back and discuss what is Google Ads to give you an overall picture. Okay, so first thing we already discussed, search ads. So we already discussed that Google Ads is helping you guys put search ads to consumers, correct? And here, what are the search ads? So if you notice here, when that keyword is typed in, 4 different advertisers have bid for that keywords, and somehow they have managed to hit rank 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this page where the search engine results come, do you know what this page is called? The first page where you get the various pages where you get search engine results. So they are called search engine result pages. That's simple. It's literally called search engine results pages. And why that is important is some people will call it SERP also, SERP, right? So they will just say SERP. So don't get confused if you hear that term from some of the folks in the industry. Google Ads also lets you do display ads. So display ads are those which comes with an image, and very often there will be some text which will be part of the image. There will be like a call to action button. For example, in this particular ad, the call to action button is a shop now button, right? So there are even elements like at one corner, there is an option to close the ad. If you go to the left hand top corner, you can see this little tag called ads by Google, right? So all of this shows that this is an ad which is served by Google. So not only are you able to show search ads, but you can also show display ads via Google Ads. Now, the most interesting thing is this display ads can also be done based on somebody's search behavior and the keywords on a particular website. Got it? So that is where that interlink is. You can do display ads without any kind of relationship to the search keywords or the keywords on a website also. But there is an option to kind of like, make display ads work based on certain keywords as well. Okay. But one more kind of ad that you will see within the search engine result page is called product listing ads. You will see some people call this shopping ads as well. So here what happens is Google figures out that you are trying to buy something. So you are typing in sports shoes, and already some advertisers know that people are going to find shoes via typing in these and these keywords. So they have placed bids, and as expected, if you notice, these brands like Adidas and Amazon that are kind of like trending, right? There are options to run pure play video ads as well. This includes placements like YouTube. There can be video that comes in content on other sites as well, right? So there are video ads also that Google Ads will let you run. Again, there is an entire 90-minute session on this later, so need not worry about this. The last kind of ads that I want to discuss are called UAC ads. Now, I purposely kept this term Universal App Campaigns here just to avoid confusion, because these days, Google has just renamed it as app campaigns. So it might be very difficult for you guys to remember that term. Hence, we have purposely used the old term. It is called UAC ads. This is nothing but those ads that prompt you to install. Okay. So Now, one more thing about UAC ads is it can be on the search network, website network, can be present on search network, on websites, on Play Store. It can be anywhere and everywhere. So you might know that Google owns a lot of properties on the web, correct? And a lot of other websites are also part of the Google network, where they sign up and partner with Google to show Google's ads, right? So universal app campaigns are nothing but these are campaigns that typically drive a lot of installs. For example, think of Ola, Swiggy, Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra. These apps, not only do they go after people for purchases, but sometimes they just run these ads just to drive some installs. So Google has built a very simple product called Universal App Campaigns, where Google will show ads across all of Google's networks, trying to get people to do installs or in some cases engagement, which is opening of an app. So these are exclusively for mobile app. Okay, so this is not for, so suppose let's say a company which operates entirely on a website, you may not need universal app campaign ads at all. Okay, obviously Google had a killer product in search, right? So in 90s, Google came up with search, and something that really did it for them was their algorithm were amazing, right? And their and their page was very clean. Just Google, even today, Google follows that principle, right? You go to google.com and it is just one clean page, which just, prompts you to search, right? And search started doing exceptionally well. It had the best algorithm. It could crawl any page on the web. And I'll come to you, I'll explain what crawling is. But eventually they found this wonderful algorithm and it started working better than anything. So some of you guys may have done search on platforms like AOL, Yahoo, etc. in the past. 15, 20 years back, if you were to do a search on them, those were messy. It was very difficult. You go to search, instead of just giving you search result, it will show you some banner ads and display ads, everything on the same page, which was very confusing experience for the user. So what did Google do? Google made sure that they built a very good quality search platform and said that, hey, we stand for search. So even today, when people say Google, the first thing that they come to their mind is search. Obviously, they have now diversified to so many products, but they made sure that if people think search, at that point of time, Yahoo had Yahoo Finance, Yahoo Cricket, too many things they were doing, right? But Google stood for one single thing for almost 10 years, from late 1990 to early 2010. And interestingly, those days, even Yahoo was biggest. Yahoo even tried to buy Google, or there was some conversation and it fell through, but Yahoo was big. Then Google realized that, and what helped Google succeed? Customer centricity. Google did not try to sell everything to people at the same time. It tried to become good at one thing, helping people find answers. And why did I tell you the story? Because whenever you solve for search engine marketing at your work, you have to think about the consumer and the consumer persona and what do they have in their mind when they search. A lot of people think that, okay, search is about understanding those algorithm, keyword, too much technicalities. That is true. Yes, those are important. But even those algorithms, Google is trying to just mirror human behavior, correct? It is trying to learn from how people are searching. So it's self-learning. So if you want to beat that self-learning algorithm and get the best value out of advertising, you have to think like humans. So that is why when you go on Google search, the terms are like how normal people speak. It's not anything complicated because it is trying to solve in a very human-centric manner. So the entire point of the story is this, right? So that's what made Google search successful. Same way, when you do your search engine marketing campaigns, thinking in a very consumer-centric manner is how you can solve search strategically. So for example, let's say I am talking about first example of buying a car or buying an SUV. Imagine somebody is searching to find her favorite car. Obviously, there will be a certain nature of search, right? There will be certain keywords that are typed in. So if somebody is looking for the best mileage, probably that person will start searching on best mileage. What if BMW or Mercedes starts bidding on that keywords? It will burn their cash, right? Because nobody who's worried too much about mileage is probably going to buy a BMW or Mercedes, right? Or people who are searching for car EMI schemes. When somebody searches car EMI, very clearly he's trying to look for finance options. He's not trying to look for a car. Maybe he decided his car, or he's maybe thinking about his car later, but what is in his mind is EMI, right? So if you start just thinking that, acha, whenever I see car, or somebody trying to buy anything related to a car, I should show my ad, you will just burn your cash. Okay. So the important thing is that you have to get to the mindset of the consumer and decide your strategy from there. All the machine learning that we speak about, Google is just trying to figure out how humans search and what is the best result to show them. Okay. Therefore, Google's algorithms are also extremely dependent on how people respond to those ads. Okay. A lot of other advertising may not necessarily be that. For example, television, right? They cannot customize every ad that is shown to you based on what you like, not like. Are you looking at the TV? Are you muting the TV? There is no way television can do that, right? But even think of YouTube. YouTube also has its, sorry, even if you think of video of ads coming on a Hotstar, for example, although it is digital, it still has some limitations. But search is extremely people centric. And of all the advertising channels in the world, search is the most human centric, people centric, consumer centric. And that is one thing that you need to understand. So when you hear of this algorithms changes, have you heard of like Google algorithm changes, made in Google's algorithms for search, and have that confused you guys in the past? So you may have thought that, oh my God, now some changes happened. So do I have to learn everything bottoms up again? It's not. You don't have to. Because all Google is trying to do is come closer to humans. So if you understand the people in your category, naturally, you will start performing well in those advertisements. So it's not about understanding technicalities. It's more about understanding people, right? So if you are, let's say, in sales, you can be an exceptionally successful search engine marketer, for example, or you can give amazing inputs to your digital marketing team because you are close to the consumer. You're seeing the sale process. You know what his worries are, and you can use that skill to translate into great advertising. Correct? So even if you know nothing in Google search till now, trust me, if you have worked in other functions, you are already in a good space. So you just have to use your knowledge in an effective manner and you will be successful in search. So here are the prerequisites. So if somebody has to run an ad, obviously if you look at the rightmost side of the spectrum, that is where an ad is, live, right? Okay. So this is the overall strategy or roadmap that you have to follow to run Google ad campaigns, right? So you start with figuring out what are the keywords. Now, if you know the keywords, right? For example, when I speak about car loan EMI, it's very clear. Let's say if somebody starts searching something like car loan EMI at low interest rate, very clearly what that customer is trying to find is financing options, but at the lowest EMI. So when you build a landing page to be shown to that particular keyword or that set of keywords, you want to make sure that you build a landing page that answers that query. So suppose I am searching for car loan EMIs at low finance rates. And when I land on the landing page, let's say it is not talking anything about the interest rate, but just talking about, let's say, documentation required for a car loan, or not even talking about car loan. Let's say I'm talking about, the best car models that are, like the best, the car models which have the best sales. When we go slightly tangential like that, even if the topic is relatable, unless the answer that the customer searching is there in that page and it's right there in front of him, the advertising is not going to work. So whenever you think of creating keywords, so you're not just creating the keyword or the ad, you're also creating the relevant pages in the backend. So make sure that you go to your website developer, or if you're managing your own website, create the relevant landing pages for those keywords. Now, not only do you need those landing pages, but you need to show the advertisement to the customer, right? So the text that you see in an ad is called ad copy. So this is a word that is used by marketers, designers, copywriters, etc. So if you hear a word copy everywhere, it is nothing but the text within an ad. Okay. So when you have all of these things, you can create an ad. And obviously within Google Ads, once that ad starts going live, you can start seeing the results, you can optimize performance, you can manage those ads, etc. So obviously we will come to those steps later. So how does a Google Ads dashboard look like? how do we create ads, all of that is coming. So don't start worrying about it right now. At this point of time, let's start worrying only about the keyword strategy. So we will take it in small chunks so that you are able to understand how the whole thing works. Okay. So these are the keyword types. So, and I will tell you why we have to have different keyword types, but to have that strategy of saying that, okay, what are the keywords that I should bid for? Or what are the keywords that I should not bid for? Or what kind of ad should I show on each kind of keywords? You need to have a strategy, correct? There is this in the entire world of keywords that consumers may search for. How do I identify the right ones to bid for? That is your bidding strategy. Got it? So to define that strategy, we need to identify and understand few keyword types. Yeah. So I'm going to keep this on the screen for some time. You can just go through this. You can read each of these lines and I'm going to explain as well. So if you notice, this just seems to be like, you can see some common search categories. So some of them are related to shoes, some of them are related to computers, phones, travel, etc. Very easy, relatable category. So there are mixture of examples from various categories, but things that you can easily relate to. Okay, let's get into explaining this with the first example, which is the laptop wala situation. Now there can be largely three keyword types. So let's say I am a fan of Dell laptops. I have used 2-3 computers in the past, but I over a period realized that Dell is the best laptop. So I'm very clear that I probably want Dell as my computer. I'm going to go just search Dell laptops. So very clearly, it is an indication to Dell that, hey, somebody is searching for me. So Dell can come in and put their ads there definitely, right? Or it can be even a case where, let's say Toshiba, think of Toshiba. So Toshiba, let's say, is number 2 in India market. And they have figured that I should try my best to put my ad there if Dell is showing, if somebody is searching for Dell. So maybe it could be the same brand, it could be a competition. But so the strategy is planned very specifically to the brand keyword. So if you notice, Dell is the brand present. So this keyword type, the moment there is a brand involved in that entire sentence, in that keyword group, right? It is called a brand keyword type, right? And why do you have to split your keywords into these set? Also, I will tell you, but for now, just identify that these are called brand keywords. The moment there is a brand mention, it's very clear that somebody has not only an interest in a category or a service, but they have interest from a particular brand. So these are called branded keywords. Okay. Next are called core keywords. So core represents a category. So if you notice laptop, so let's say I'm a consumer, I'm just starting out. I don't have, let's say, any brand particularly in mind. I'm just entering something like laptops, right? Or let's say if I'm traveling, I want to just check out some holiday packages. I just enter holiday packages. Those are called core keyword types. Okay. Now, I would not only mention a category, but I will also give a descriptor of the category. Best laptops, or best looking smartphones, or attractive smartphones, comfortable shoes. So not only is there a category mentioned, but there is something specific about that category that customer is looking for. For example, when he searches comfortable shoes, he is definitely looking for shoes that index highly on comfort. Most probably that person is not looking for a high-heeled shoe, for example, right? It's very clear that it is being searched with a particular intent within the category. Now, this is called lateral keyword. So there is an adjective or a description or an appreciation about the search result. So what happens is, when you think of now, why do we have to structure keywords into various types? So whenever you are an advertiser working for a certain category, you cannot just write down all the keywords possible in the world. And if you write down, there could be millions of keyword combinations, correct? You cannot strategize for each potential keyword. You will have to obviously come up with a framework, group them, correct? And let's say you are a marketing manager and you are building an ad strategy. Now, if you have to explain your ad strategy to your boss, or if you have to even discuss your strategy with your boss, You will have to go there and start discussing both. Branded keywords are these and these are this. Core keywords, some of them are these and these are this. Lateral keywords, some of examples are these and this. And my strategy is going to be like this. I'm going to focus heavily on brand keywords or core keywords or lateral keywords. So there are no generalizations. One or two generalizations are here just to help you understand. But remember that they're still generalizations and not absolute truth. Okay. And I will help you understand this by giving you guys an example. Suppose Samsung Galaxy Note is getting released. And all of you guys know Note is a very high-end Samsung smartphone, right? I think it is 70,000 and above, even the cheapest smartphones, right? Or Galaxy S Plus, right? They are also very pricey, 70,000, 80,000 and above. Now imagine they are, trying to capture maximum share of India market, right? Which of these keywords will they attack the most? So this is what a keyword planner will look like. So if you notice, when you open up the keyword planner, the idea of the keyword planner is to give you all the information that you want. And that is something very specific about most advertising platforms. You don't have to by heart anything. You just have to know, acha, I have to go to keyword planner. Everything else, the system itself will tell you. This is not a closed book examination. So that is where, like I said, in digital marketing, only understand the concepts and practice it. You don't have to by heart anything. So here, when you start searching your keyword ideas, immediately Google showed you some relatable keywords. So all the keywords that you entered, it is shown, and if you scroll down, you'll get even more keyword ideas. It will also show you across the year, across various months of the year, what are the volumes, how many people are searching, 2 million people, 3 million people. See, if you see on the left, it says 0 million, 2 million, 4 million. It shows the volume of searches in the location that you have chosen, right? And it also shows you the trend line. What time of the month is it high? What time of the month is it low? It shows you a mobile as well as total. So total is basically mobile search plus desktop search, and mobile only search is indicated by the red button. Okay. And if you come to the lower side of the screen, lower half of the screen, you will notice that it is showing a trend line even at a monthly level, and it is showing how many people exactly typed in that keyword. So 170 people typed in the word called domestic travel. 12,100 people typed the word called holiday packages. 720 people typed international travel. It also shows, is competition low or high? So it actually shows that what is the competition. So if you remember, Google search ads is nothing but a bid. So imagine you have gone to a bidding war. Think of IPL, where they try to bid on various players. So basically, it will show you how much is the share of competition. And there is something called ad impression share. Okay. So typically, if you are running ads, it shows that what percentage of impressions did your brand feature in, right? So right now, it'll when you get into the Google Ads window, I'll show this in detail. It also shows what is the top of the page bid, low range and high range, which means that, hey, in this period, some advertiser, the cheapest an advertiser had to pay in the bid is 1 rupee, 35 paise. But there were other advertisers who had to even pay 19 rupees. Now, why did this happen? Why did it vary between 1 rupee to 19 rupee? It is because it's also a bidding war, right? Every time a search happens, it's getting, so many people are placing automated bids. So in some cases, it may go cheap. In some cases, it may go high. But this is just the range that it shows. So for every keyword, it also shows you the range. It will cost you 5 rupees to 31 rupees or 3 rupees to 107 rupees. Now, why is this important for an advertiser? Suppose you are a diamond manufacturer or in jewelry business. Think of a Bluestone or a Carrot Lane or a Tanishq. Your product has very high value. So you will happily go and bid, even if that bid is, let's say, per click is, let's say, 200 rupees or 500 rupees or whatever, right? Because you're clear that if you convert that customer, you get a lot of money back. But imagine, let's say you are a low value product. You sell a low value item. You may not want to go bid very high on a keyword, right? Because it's possible that, you bid, later the conversions are not low, conversions are low and you don't get the money back. So a number of factors can determine what is the range in which you can play. But the larger idea is that, this can actually give you confidence as to should you go high, should you go low, keep low, how do you bid on it, right? Now there are different bidding strategies. We will discuss that in detail, so don't worry about how it is done. Just think of this as still the first few steps of this, right? Google also gives you an option to download keyword ideas. So whenever you are searching for any category, Google itself will give you some keyword ideas. It's not a case where you have to do all the hard working or write down all permutations, combinations of what people search. Okay, so you can get keyword ideas. Now, one more thing, to get more keyword ideas, there is not just Google, there are other tools also in the market. The most commonly used tool is called SEMrush. Okay, you can just type semrush.com. Now, what has happened? Google has already mapped in its algorithm that, hey, there is this user called Shubhankar, and Shubhankar is searching for queries which are related to advertising. So Google has now understood that Shubhankar is someone who is either a practitioner of digital or a student of digital. So trust me, wherever you go, most probably if you keep searching for a few of these keywords, you will keep getting ads. So don't worry. SEMrush, other competition, everything in the market, all those ads will follow you everywhere. So here it's technically not necessarily retargeting. SEMrush will do retargeting. If you go to the website and that website starts and SEMrush starts following you around, it can be retargeting. In some cases, there are a lot of aspects that sometimes can be through third-party cookies, sometimes it can be through a number of things, but Google already now knows your search behavior. So what Google has is Google also has some audience list that it keep. And whenever you do a certain kind of behavior, Google just adds you to that audience list so that Google advertisers can search, can basically market to that audience list. And next, I'm going to show you something very interesting. Search for answerthepublic.com. So do you notice a screen like this? So here, let's say you start typing in Bollywood and search. I'm going to search and I'm waiting for the answers. Did you go to answerthepublic.com? After a while, it starts showing all the search queries in a cluster, right? And it has clustered answers, typical search queries by people, so for example, which, are, will, all Bollywood related things you can see here. So same way, whenever you are trying to work out any keyword, any category, just go use these tools and they will itself give you so many ideas. What are people searching? What should be your keyword strategy, right? So very data-driven decisions you can make, and there is so much transparency, right? And this is the magic of digital. So let's say you are never going to do Google ads in your life, hypothetically. Let's say you're not a digital marketer. You are in sales, or you are in marketing, or you're in content writing. This can still help you with so many insights about the market. Right? Suppose you are, let's say, engineer for air condition. So you're not even a business manager. You are just an engineer for air condition. But you want to understand what are the issues that people are facing with air conditions. People would have already gone online and would have searched for that. So when you just type air condition repair, you will see all keywords related to it. So you will know, what are the technical problems that are there. So suppose you work for Samsung air conditioners and you want to understand what are the problems with Samsung air conditioners. Just go search Samsung air conditioners and see what are the common questions that people are having. Understood? It's that magical. That is how much information search can give you, even if you are not even in marketing or digital. So obviously when you, coming back to the keyword planner, so it looks like this when you open it up and start looking at all the keyword ideas, and it'll give you all these inputs like, is our competition bidding on it? How much should you pay maximum? What is the cheapest you might have to pay to get it? And these are all indicative figures. These keep changing. Next comes the next element. So this is done. Keyword is done. We have gotten into the mind of the consumer. We know what he's thinking, what is he worried about, what is he searching for. Next comes the element of creating a landing page for the customer, right? So if it's an e-commerce item that consumer is searching for, very often it might be the catalog or the listing of that product, in your website. Or if it is a specific information that the consumer is searching, what you might have to give him is information. For example, let's say going back to the problem of not having enough sleep. Let's say somebody wakes up in the morning and starts searching, hey, why am I not getting enough sleep? Or he starts searching sleep disorders. Definitely what he would want to see is an opinion from a medical expert, right? Or a researcher on that, or a research article on that topic. You have to make sure that your landing page for that particular consumer, for that particular keyword is built in a manner where it will be useful to that customer, right? Then only he will click on that ad. Then only will he come to your website. And something that's important is also that Google also tries to read how good a landing page is. Okay. So Google will use a lot of mechanisms to figure out how good a landing page is. We will get to that. But obviously, I will first walk you through how a landing page is created.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in digital marketing, then Intellipaat provides a advanced certification in digital marketing and analytics. It is taught by IIT professors and industry experts with more than 10 years of experience. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job. Now let's continue with the session.
So whenever you go to any website, very often that website is actually created in, based on what is the kind of website it or what kind of business it is. There are so many different ways in which, people create websites. For example, if it's an Amazon or a Swiggy, large companies that I work for, I don't have access to edit that website because it's so important. It's so technical, thousands, lakhs of pages, right? It's operated by a separate tech team. So there might be dozens of web developers and IT teams who work on it. Very complicated. So if you are working for a large company, don't think that you can go edit your website. So let's assume you guys work for ICICI. And if you are going to say, hey, I'm going to go create a web page on ICICI, not going to happen. Why? Because there are so many safety features in ICICI website, correct? It's so nuanced, so technical. They will not open up the permission to anybody. So even if you are a digital marketer, you will not have access to the landing page. So you will have to go speak to the web developer. So in it called IT web admins. In some companies, it might just be clubbed under IT team. In some teams, it will be different. IT team would just take care of your, IT infrastructure and stuff. Whereas there will be separate tech team, especially in technology companies, to handle all of this. Now, there are other options in the market, right? So there are some options like landing key, unbounds. Suppose you are a business owner or you're a smaller company where there is an option to create those pages. Now, these are platforms that can help you do that. So don't worry about this. You can search and learn about them whenever there is a need. At this point of time, based on your requirement to kind of help you create this. So at this point of time, you need not worry too much about this. Yeah. One common platform that a lot of people use to create landing pages is WordPress. So, WordPress was also one of the pioneers in this field. So over a period, multiple other platforms came and took over. But even today, a lot of content writers, so especially if you are in content writing, blogging, they tend to use WordPress, when there is a lot of content, a lot of keywords. So hence, I'm just giving you WordPress as an example. So very often for your website, there will be a WordPress account, which you can get from the team. So let's say you're a content writer, naturally, you'll be given access to this. You just have to log in. There itself, all your pages you don't have to sit down and code. Yeah, it will already give you all options. How does your page look like? What are the menus, widgets, all the aspects of creating a page are already available. You can just create it just through the user interface. Very simple. And any WordPress website that you see usually is created through very simple tasks like this. Again, no need to by heart any of this. When you're on a WordPress page, you will see it. The purpose of showing these two slides is just to help you understand how simple it is. Just think of some of the content writers or copywriters, they're not very technical people. They don't understand how to run ads or they don't know how to code, right? But they still create web pages without anybody kind of helping them, right? Why do? Because it's so simplified. It's that easy, right? I know content writers who don't have any large technical skills, but they're able to do this. It's that simple. So the idea is to demonstrate how easy it is. Now let's get into the specifics of the ad. So you already discussed landing page. Now the advertisement that is shown to the customer has a particular structure. So I already discussed in an earlier slide, ad copy is nothing but the text, correct? The text that shows up in the ad, which prompts the user to click. So this is how every ad version looks like. So, every ad has these sets of headlines, right? So there are headline fields. There are 30 characters that is allowed. Character is basically every alphabet, every digit, every space, right? There are expanded description field. If you notice, every ad also shows the display URL, which shows what is the domain, what is the address in which you will be taken. Yeah. All of these are part of the ad. And don't worry about this right now. We will get into specifics soon. So now, obviously, when you have to write ad copy, right, it has to be very direct and simple. First point is that it should exactly show what is the benefit or what is the unique selling proposition. So let's say, somebody is searching for BMW 1 series, right? Or somebody is searching for BMW 3 series or BMW 5 series. When somebody searches for that particular model, there is something specific that they want about that model, correct? So make sure that your ad has all those, whatever is that unique selling proposition. USP is nothing but unique selling proposition, just a marketing jargon or terminology. So whatever is unique about your product, what is the core about your product, make sure that you put it out there. Okay. And along with every ad, there will be a call to action. A call to action could be about calling a number or going to a website, right? Make sure that you are clearly putting it out there. I already discussed the keyword strategy. It's important that you create brand, core, lateral keyword strategy, and within each of those keyword strategy, making sure that your ads are also written accordingly. So for example, when somebody searches best laptops versus somebody searching Dell laptops, the kind of keywords that you want to show to the customer is also the kind of advertising text that you want to show to the customer has to be also different, correct? Someone searching for Dell laptop, make sure that your ad strongly shows that it is about Dell, and it shows the propositions of Dell so that somebody clicks on it. But let's say you forget to put Dell in your advertisement, that's a complete miss. So customer will search, but your ad has nowhere Dell written on it. Maybe on the website domain name or something Dell is there, but it's not visible very clearly. You did all of that bidding, but you are not very visible in the search engine result page. And of course, you do a lot of keyword planning, research, using the keyword planner. It'll help you understand the volume. So if there are keywords that have a lot of volume, make sure that you put a lot of effort into writing ads as well. That's why you'll have to write so many ads. And I'll show you how that gets structured within the dashboard, but you have to write hundreds of ads. Trust me, some of the big brands will actually have almost 1 lakh ad copies. One more thing to also keep in mind is remove all kind of grammatical errors, keep it short, sweet, all the basics of English. Just make sure that you have written it very carefully, because think of it, you see an ad and there is a grammar mistake in that ad, or it's written in bad English. You look at it and you will think, probably a fake website, right? Or something is wrong, because all good advertising will be done by proper professionals who will make sure that it is done in a good way, right? So whenever you see anything which has errors, bad grammar, etc., you will start doubting it. Now, this is called Google Ads policy. Okay. Now, you're an advertiser and multiple advertisers, are bidding for keywords, and they keep the audience safe, right? In terms of showing right kind of results, not showing results which are potentially risky, and maintaining that consumer experience when he searches, finds something, and the content reaches him, etc. Also, it shouldn't be a case where you start using somebody else's IP, intellectual property, right? So therefore, there are a few things that Google has set in its overall policies. Now, if you don't obey a policy, most probably you could get banned or blocked, right? Or in some cases, it can affect the price that you pay for ad. It can shoot up. So there are various ways in which there can be some very black and white consequences or some negative consequences based on how much if you violate any of the policies. So one of them is, of course, having quality content. So Google also tries to use its algorithm to figure out whether a website has quality content or not. Okay. So for example, if your website is full of images that you have copied from somewhere in the internet, not original content, not given credit, or it is written in poor code, the structure of the website is bad. It's very clear that, okay, someone who's not a strong professional made that website. Okay. So in such a case, what happens is Google will figure that out and make sure that they don't show ads which correspond to that particular landing page. Okay. So Google will figure out that, acha, if I show people this ad, it is, and they click on that ad and they come to that web page, it's giving them very bad experience. So let me not show that ad, or let me put very high price on that ad to be shown. You cannot use any brand name without permission from that brand. So for example, let's say I am Swiggy. I cannot use KFC or McDonald's or any brand without having permission from them and backlisting in the whitelisting in the background. Okay. So one common example for this, suppose let's say you are a dealer. Let's say you are a dealer for Tata Motors. You cannot put Tata in your ad. Okay. You can put Tata in your ad after you do the whitelisting in the back end, which is a process that you can get done through, just by submitting a small snippet on Google and then getting that whitelist, and then you can show your ads. Your ad should not have anything malicious. Like if you're linking people into a virus or anything that could potentially affect the health of the device from which somebody is logging in, or the security, Google can block you, right? So a lot of these things Google will try to track. And if you try to, instead of focusing on the user, if you start taking any shortcut, very soon Google will figure out. You try to cheat, you will be caught, right? So one example is that, for example, let's say I am Tata Motors and I'm advertising for Tata Motors, and I want to capture Google people searching for Maruti cars. So let's say I cannot write Brezza in my ad, because then it will be usage of a competition brand name, right? So I'm Tata Motors, but I cannot use Brezza because Brezza is actually a Maruti's brand, right? So suppose, and I want to bypass this, and I am an evil person, I might say that, hey, instead of writing BREZZA, I will just write BRESSA or BREZA. Now that looks very similar to the competition brand car name, and I might even actually get people to click on it thinking that it's a Brezza ad. But eventually, if Google gets hold of you, or your competition actually finds it and reports, it can get you penalized. Okay. So all of these are there in the ad policies, and I've added a link also into the deck, which you can read. Okay. Now this is how you can do the account creation. Now, if you guys have a fast internet and you are not someone who's detracted, you can even do this in parallel as we discuss. But I would say these are two easy things where literally everything is just like creating how a Gmail account is. You don't need to parallelly create a Gmail account to learn it, right? It's so intuitive. Same way, it's as simple as that. So all you have to do is just type in Google Ads and search, and Google itself, will help you in this landing page. And there, if you notice, once you reach that Google Ads page, it will immediately give you an option to start right away, right? There's even a phone support. If you need any help, you can even call them up and Google might be able to help you, right? Now, the moment you click on it and you sign up, your Google Ads account creation is done. So now this is the structure that you need to keep in mind. Okay, I spoke about Google Ads account. I spoke about campaigns. I spoke about ad groups. Now, how is this all structured in the Google world? So what happens is, within every ad account, there will be campaigns. And within campaigns, there will be ad groups, which involve keywords and ad copy. So when you start creating any ad, how do you start? You first open your ads account. Within ads account, you set up a campaign. Within campaign, you set up ad groups. And within ad groups, you have keywords and ad copy. So when I spoke about how the structure can have thousands of ads or 100, this is what I meant. All of this is organized in a tree-like structure. So what happens is, let's say your Tata Motors or ICICI, you will have one ad account. So you will start with an ad account, which is mapped to Tata or ICICI. Or let's say if you are a small business, let's say you run a cake shop or a bakery, you can just create an ad account very easily. In the case of big brands, you have to do some backend mapping, etc., to claim that the website is mine, or the store is mine, etc. Those are slightly more nuanced things, but don't worry about it. Uh, those are fairly easy things to do, and very often not even done by you. You will take the help of your agency, etc., to do this, right? Okay. The reality is almost 90% of the advertising is actually managed by agencies. Got it? So if I am taking the example of Swiggy, it's not like Umesh's junior, or by that I mean not a manager or the executive that reports into manager. They don't sit down and make all the ads. Got it? Only a very thin share, only people, generally folks who are on the agency side do most of this operational work, because this takes hours and hours. So one misconception that people have is, okay, if I have to become a search engine marketer, I have to know every element of ad creation, how it is done operationally, etc. No, you just have to understand the concept. Got it? Unless and otherwise you want to get into an agency. But if you are at and even within an agency, when you are at a very junior level is when you are hands-on things. You will have more senior resources, but they will typically set strategy or come and do a quality check. So you don't have to do hands-on things. You may have to do hands-on if, let's say, you are a small business owner. Okay. You run a bakery, you run a gym, you run a small apparel store, you want to advertise to people, you can set up your own ads, but usually it is very simple. So what happens is small businesses usually have very simple structure where you don't need an agency to manage it. You can go just watch there's so much information already in the course. Sometimes just follow the course, just start your ad account. You can almost do it by yourself. There itself, you will, any digital marketer, trust me, nobody just goes, learns a course and start doing it right then and there. Whenever you're doing any activity, you will parallelly do all the research too. Just make sure that the concepts have landed when somebody teaches you this. But in reality, when you actually get into action, somebody else will do it for you. Sorry, you can research and follow how somebody else have explained it on the internet, or Google, Facebook itself would have written down all of this in serious, in well documented format. And I'll tell you why. So when Google launches Google Ads as a product, or its multiple solutions in analytics, or data management or measurement or anything, what is the primary thing that determines how successful that platform is? So one is the performance of the product. Yeah, is it converting? Is it giving business value? Is it good for the end audience? Is it good for the advertiser? That is one element. So that's about the product aspect of it, correct? But the success of any platform depends on how easy is it for the people to use. And I will explain that without even taking an example of any technology product, any ad tech product, any advertising technology product. Just think of Paytm or Google Pay as an app. UPI is so simple that anybody can just use it, right? There were people who will struggle with internet banking. So you might know some of your relatives who have never done internet banking, but they can easily do payment wallet or UPI, right? The simpler the product is for somebody to use, more people will adopt it. So the very reason why Google Ads and Facebook are so successful is not just because they are large advertisers, they have a lot of properties, they have a lot of technology, etc. But they made it super simple for people to learn it. But it's not like anybody can just start it. They might need some direction. So they may come to a course like the one that you are in. Somebody's going to give them practical examples, give them the conceptual flow, give them that confidence to make that step, telling them that this is not rocket science, right? And that is the most important thing. That's why, do you know how much it costs to do a Google Ads certification? Like, let's say if it is search ad certification on Google, going through Google's materials and taking that. The most important concept is understanding, hey, what is the keyword strategy? What is my category? What is it that generally people search for? If I have to make my search engine work, it's not just I have to do correct keyword strategy. I have to build a landing page, right? That holistic understanding, that top view understanding is what is necessary for a digital marketer. For 95% of the roles, that is what is necessary. So this Google Ads product, it's ridiculously simple. But once you start using it, no, or just going through material, you will realize how easy it is. It takes its time. It's not like, you cannot come to a session and learn it. This is the structure, right? And this one, some people would call it a campaign tree or an ad account tree. People use various words for it, but it's just when someone mentions in a certain context, you will understand. So here there are three levels. So one is your ad account. This is just like going into your banking account or demat account, etc. Obviously, at an account setting level, you will have your password, billing information. You have to link your credit card, billing cycles, etc. Will all the details would come there. Now, within that, to organize your marketing activations, one would typically create campaigns. So what happens is usually a campaign will have a theme or a sub theme, because it addresses one common goal, and there's a similar bidding strategy applied on it. So you break down your campaigns into multiple campaigns, right? So campaign A, B, C, D, etc. Right? So a campaign is just to unify the bidding strategy, the targeting, and the overall budget that you assign is also specific to a campaign. So, let's say you're working for Amazon and Amazon decides to launch a new phone in the market exclusively on Amazon. And let's say Amazon is doing a pre-bus in the sense that, okay, prior to the launch of the product, let's say 5 days in advance, they want to run some pre-bus. So here it's very clear. There is one, particular objective. There is one specific bidding strategy they can follow. It's only for a certain period of time. They may decide on a certain budget saying that, okay, I'm going to put this 5 crore into this promotion, right? A lot of things can be unified there, and all of it can be clubbed under campaign. So it's very simple. Anything that can be clubbed under similar goal, same bidding strategy, targeting, all of this we will get into also in detail. So don't worry, you club it under campaigns. Now comes the next layer, which is keywords, ad copy, ad groups, which involve keywords and ad copy. That is nothing but the keywords and the corresponding ad copy. So if you notice, for every keyword that is entered by the customer, you have to show a corresponding ad copy, correct? The grouping of that is done in a structure called ad groups. So once again, I am clarifying, 99% of you, unless you want to categorically become a search engine marketing analyst or an SEM marketer, you need not understand too many details of this. All you need to understand is within an ad group, keywords and ad copies are paired. How do you operationally do it, optimize it, etc. Like very deep level, you don't have to worry about it. Only when you are working in that particular domain, you need to group these two together and think about it. Okay. And so within the ad account, this is how the page will look like. So here we are talking particularly about the search kind of campaign. How do I do a search ads creation? Now, one more thing I want you guys to understand is search ads are slightly difficult to structure and operationalize, right? We are learning it first because it's very fundamental to building that understanding of, what do consumers search? How do I show it? So the right order to learn is probably like search before you get into video marketing at a very high level. You can do some minimal amount of it, but the reality is that once you start doing much more a little bit of display, a little bit of video, etc., when you come back, then search ad structure looks easier. Got it? So you might learn it in a different order. That doesn't matter. In reality, very often when you start learning those formats and you start doing X number of things, search ad ka structure will also start looking easier. So here it's very simple. Within your ad account, you click on campaigns, it'll list all the campaigns that are running, and here you can start a new campaign. So all you have to do is click on a new campaign. Now what happens is when you click on a new campaign, if you remember when we started, we spoke about how there are 5 types of ad on Google, right? So this is also the reason when you saw my ad account, it actually had various ad types. Got it? I actually have different accounts for search. Interestingly, search accounts are the ones which are, Usually takes more time to load as well because of the nuances, right? So what happens here is you set campaigns, you're going to click new ad, new campaign, and you will see these 5 types of campaigns, whatever we saw in the beginning. Obviously, you start selecting search. So here also it's very intuitive. If you notice, the moment you came here, the dashboard has everything. It says select a campaign type, and it shows what each of this campaign type is about. So trust me, even if a customer, even if somebody doesn't come with a lot of understanding of what are the kind of ads there, it will exactly lead you there where you want to be, right? And here, if you see this little question mark button, so whenever you see any window or button and you're surprised about what, you're not sure about what it is, all you have to do is just tap that question mark and it will give you all the details. It will start listing on the left. You can go into those specifics and you will get all the information you'll need. And once you select search, it will show you various goal types. So every campaign has to have a goal, correct? Goal is ultimately what you want to do for that, business with running that particular campaign. So let's think of it. Let's say your campaign is about getting people to your website. You're very clear that, okay, for example, you are selling automotive insurance. Somebody comes to the website, fills in all the, reads about the product, then only you are clear that the product concept will be clear to the customer, right? So here it is optimized for traffic, or in some cases, you are not looking for an immediate sale. In some cases, it's just about, let's say you are, the best example to understand website traffic is if you have a content site, there is no sales, nothing to be done there. You're just getting people to the website, giving them the information they need, and probably that is where you can optimize and get the best value out of it, right? Then you choose website traffic. You have an option for sales, leads, etc. So based on your business type, a lot of people incorrectly assume that any campaign I will just optimize for sales and it will work. That's not correct, because in some cases there's no sales that happens online. If you are, let's say, an automotive dealer running an ad, you want to show leads, right? You will probably optimize most of your campaigns for lead generation, so that somebody gives their email ID, phone number, their preferred time for a test drive, which model are they interested in, etc. So you want to do lead generation. So when you're working with a digital marketing team, right, let's say you are asking them to or requesting them to run an ad, very often you just have to say that I think I need a search campaign, and the search campaign should optimize to get me leads or sales or website traffic. That is all you have to tell, right? Or if you're working with your agency and asking them to come up with a plan and execute, very often they will ask you very basic questions like, okay, if the agency guy will ask the advertiser, hey, what kind of search campaign do you want? What is the kind of objective that you're driving? And they will be like, okay, oh, this looks like, do you want to optimize for sales or do you want to go after the goal type of leads? Where do you want to go? And they will pick a goal accordingly, right? So one more reason why you should not buy hard this is because, trust me, when you actually get into digital marketing, unless you are working only on one platform, you will have to work on Google Ads. You will have to work on Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, programmatic, native ads. There might be so many platforms that you have to do. So in such case, there's not even any value in by hearting all of this. One, if you have in a certain business and one channel is important to you, based on your business type, you will naturally remember all of this or learn all of this, because once or so you will easily deploy. So nobody has to like by heart in its mind that acha Google mein search has these 3, display has these 5. Okay, in an exam also, in your test, it might be asked just to test your knowledge, but that doesn't break the deal for you. Got it? So even when tomorrow you have a use case in your career where you have to use search ads, all you have to do is either just open up your Google Ads account, which is again free, and just check what are the things that come listed, or you can even do a Google search and see what are the goal types within search ads, and it will just tell you what are the 3 goal types. Okay, so we started with saying that, hey, I want a new campaign. So you're telling the dashboard that you want to create a new campaign. Then in the next step within the Google Ads platform, you have chosen that I want to do a search campaign. Within search, 3 very simple objectives: sales, leads, website traffic. Each of them are almost self-explanatory, but if you want to know what that is, when you click there, it'll show you what exactly that is, right? Now, when you type, after you select the ad type,
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in digital marketing, then Intellipaat provides a advanced certification in digital marketing and analytics. It is taught by IIT professors and industry experts with more than 10 years of experience. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job. Now let's continue with the session.
you will come to this particular page where you are going to create more, you give more details to that campaign, right? So you gave the name of a campaign. Typically, people name it with a date, objective, something for people to understand, because in large ad accounts there could be thousands of campaigns. So you put everything in your campaign name so that you can understand what that your campaign is. Now, the most interesting thing is, even within search ads, there is an option to expand it to some display network. Got it? So not only will your ad show up on search partners, but it can also show ads to display network. By that, what I mean is, let's say, again, going back to the car example. So I'm going to take one of you as example. Let's say Komal. Komal started searching for her car, right? Komal would have already typed in certain keywords in Google, right, as a customer. So Google is keeping a watch on all of its customers. So Google knows that, hey, Komal is someone who is interested in automotive. Now, within that, let's say Komal started searching for certain brands, Tata, Tiago, or Maruti Baleno. Google also knows that these are keywords that Komal, as a Google search user, is interested in. So what can Google do is that even when Komal is not searching, so let's say there might be certain times when Komal is not searching but just browsing other content. So let's say she's on Car Dekho or Bike Dekho. But you may have noticed there also Google has its own display network, right? Google can show banner ads on any website which is affiliated with Google. So it's possible that Car Dekho, Bike Dekho has affiliated with Google. And Google knows that Acha Komal is visiting Car Dekho, Bike Dekho. And without, even if you have not searched recently, Google might still show you an ad on display. Only thing is, if you are selecting a display network, within that display network also, you will have to probably optimize your ad, the text a little bit. But I mean, right now, do not worry too much about it. This is actually a little nuance. Even my explanation is not 100% correct. I kind of optimized it so that the confusion is less. Best that, like I said, there will be a well-detailed session on Google Display Network later. When we cover that, you will understand this, right? So right now, do not worry about it but it's just to let you know that there is this option also, right? And obviously you can get into determining your location. So all of this are things that you do on this particular window. One more interesting aspect of Google search is that the text ads that we spoke about not only come on Google ka search window, but YouTube also has its own search engine, right? On your YouTube, when you go up, open up the home page, you have an option to search things. So in some cases, you might put the same keywords in your Google search tab and even on your YouTube search, correct? So you might look for car reviews again on YouTube search. So Google, it's the same platform. Backend may Google knows how to link the two, right? So it can even show those ads there. That is why you might be familiar with this. When you search for something, you will start getting those ads, which are, you might see some text ads also before you see the search results. So this is also done through Google Ads only, Google search only. So in the backend, you're doing the same thing to show ads on a Google search page and on a YouTube search engine result. So when you set the campaign, Google itself will show you a timeline of what are the things that you should do. So campaign settings, you have done everything. You'll have to put a URL saying that, hey, this is the URL that I want to show. This is the page where I want to send customer to. This is what I want to show. In some cases, you can even show ads to specific audiences. Okay. So here it might be a specific list of audiences that are either defined by Google or you've brought that audience in from somewhere. Don't worry about it right now. This is best learned. There is a specific segment on this that will come up later in another session. It will be covered there. We will spend more time on things which are very specific to search. So if you remember, when I discussed this segment, we started with saying that, hey, campaigns should have a goal type, a bidding strategy, targeting, budgets, etc. Right? Bidding strategy is what we're going to discuss next. So bidding strategy, these are the 5 basic ones, right? And again, do not try to buy hard this bidding strategy. Okay. This is just for your information. This is always available in the dashboard. So whenever you are creating a campaign, relax, take some time out, look at these bidding strategies, read them up once, and it is right there on the dashboard itself. So whenever you see each of these bidding strategy in the validation, Google will also explain when and where to use that particular bidding strategy. Got it? I'll just give you example of when to use each of these strategies. So let's say first example, assume that you are Times of India or Scoop Whoop. You do not sell anything on your site. All you have is content. And very often, your success metrics depend on how many people have read your content, right? Which might be the bidding strategy that they are most probably going to use. They can use some of the others also in certain cases, but very often it is a maximized click strategy, right? They could do a flexible strategy, an enhanced cost per click also in some cases, but we are clear that at least it's not going to be a case where it is a return on ad spend, right? Or it is not cost per acquisition. Times doesn't usually like run cost per acquisition campaign. Most often the campaign might be to just get people to read a certain content. Now let's take another example. Let's say I'm an e-commerce website. You're familiar with websites like Momsco or the Beardo or Beard Company, etc., which are direct to consumer brands where they try to get a lot of people to their website and get people to buy a product. Now, if your particular campaign's aim is to get maximum spend, and now obviously when a consumer converts, he might buy a 10 rupee product also, a 1,000 rupee product also. There can be different billing, right? Different cart value. So it will probably, let's say it figures out that, again, taking an example, let's say Anand, it figured that, okay, Anand keeps clicking on ads about, let's say ads for active gear. He's a gym enthusiast. He's a fitness enthusiast. Google knows all of this, right? And Google identifies that Anand is a very good potential customer for a particular, let's say for Nike or Puma, right? And even let's say Anand visits Nike website, convert once, brings a lot of value. It's very clear that there are a lot of indicators which are deterministic or probabilistic, which says that probably this Anand is going to do a very high value transaction, right? So Google will use X number of signals to figure out which customer will potentially give me maximum conversion value. So if that is our use case, that is how we decide on the bid strategy. And that is why, although it looks like a list of 5-7 things, in reality, it is very simple to use. Because when you have a particular product and you want to achieve a specific business objective, very often you may have to choose between just 1 or 2 strategies. It will be so apparent to you when you have a clear business case. I'm going to give you another example. Let's say ICICI launches a new credit card. It wants people to come to the website and sign up for that credit card. So they will put search ads everywhere. People will click on that ad and they want people to sign up ultimately, which becomes a customer acquisition for them. In such case, which is the strategy they may use? Now I'm coming to the bidding part. Got it? So keyword decide what to bid on. Bidding strategy decide, okay, what to optimize it on. And the most interesting bit is, suppose you select something really, really wrong. Sometimes the dashboard itself will tell you. Suppose you're selecting an ROAS against a conversion event where it is not getting the value of the product that is purchased. It will automatically show an error, correct? So if your product doesn't have a monetary value or that the value of conversion on the website is not being passed to Google, it will tell you. So this is how the setup is. And the most interesting part here to notice is that you can set up a daily budget, which means that it's not a case where your cost per click is very high and you start burning too much money. It's not like that. You can always say that daily I should maximum spend 500 rupees, 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, and you can do it at a overall campaign level. So you will have control. So you can split your budget across various campaigns also for the same objective, right? And then make sure that everything it's worked. And here in the bidding strategy, this is nothing but we saw here. It will help you decide on what is the bidding strategy. It's just about selecting. And if you notice again, already on the left side, it exactly explains what is it is about. So you can just go to the dashboard and decide, or your agency will tell you what is it about, and you can discuss with them and decide. So this is the overall structure of setting a bid, setting a budget, etc. And this is similar to, for example, you are actually going to bid on something. Forget the Google search world. Think of it that you are going to bid on buying a car or a house and you're entering an auction. So before you go to the auction, you might discuss saying that, okay, my budget is maximum 5 lakh rupees. I will not bid above that for the car. I will try to see how much I can bid. I will go decide, acha, if Maruti ka car mila, I will bid. Tata ka car mila, I will not bid. Depending on what comes up, I will adjust my bid. But I will not pay above a certain bid, right? Or I will bid according to the conversion value or whatever, right? So here it's just setting criteria and setting limits on how much you want to spend so that you have optimized in the best manner. Now comes to the most execution led element, which is nothing but in a search ad, what are the different components? So what happens in a search is that along with the search, depending on the topic, depending on the keywords, you may want to give additional information. So in some cases, for example, let's say you are a travel agency, easiest example, you want people to call you to do a booking, like especially if it's a local travel, right? They are not, I may not even have like a very good website. If I'm a local travel agency, I want to put a call button there. So there is an option to call. In the case of websites, for example, Amazon here, right? Amazon obviously has multiple categories, right? There might be fashion, exclusive, electronics. So based on what is the search keyword, maybe it wants to show some specifics. In the case of certain websites, you may want to show the rating. Like for example, the bottom one, you can see Zara shoes. They have added a rating extension where it is showing what's the rating that his site has, which is most probably the Google rating only. So that kind of gives some authenticity for the product. In some cases, it might be, you might want to prompt the customer to install your app. That is the example of first pose use. So you can even do an install button as the extension. So based on whatever is your kind of ad, kind of business, you can also add an extension to the ad. So it's not just about having a text, but it's also about what are the other elements that you want to add to the ad. So in some cases, there might be multiple things, right? There could be search. In some, there might be ratings and install button. All of this is possible. And type of extensions is very clear. When you set up the search ads, it will give you all the options to set up. You can add your contact details. You want to show some pictures. You want to show multiple site links. All of that is possible. And once you have added all those, all you have to do is just do a save and continue. There are various other options available. These are some specific options. So extensions we already discussed. You want to add a text message option that can be done. Adding a promotion to your ad. So for example, when you see certain ad, there might be a specific call out saying that 20% off, right? Or buy one, get one. Any specific sales promotions also you can show in the copy of the ad itself, right? They can be shown along with the copy of the ad. You can show prices. Sometimes you can give an option of ad rotation to Google. Like, so what happens is against the same keywords, you might create a number of ads and eventually Google will figure out which is the best performing ad. So it will probably show more of that, right? There is an option to keep a schedule. It can be all times of the day, all 24 hours, or you can choose hourly slots. So suppose you are, for example, a restaurant that serves breakfast only, right? So you might know that acha, between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. I should trigger my breakfast ad. There is no purpose showing a breakfast ad during lunch hours or in times when the restaurant is shut. So against your ad, you can decide on the schedule. So these are very logical options. Anything that is required for your, any information that you want to show to customers, Google has made sure that all of these are added and you can layer all of this into your campaigns. And now comes slightly complicated stuff. So keywords, if you notice, what is the most complicated aspect about keywords? Long tail keywords are very specific information. Usually when people get specific, they type in 5, 6, 7 words. So it's very clear. But what also, sometimes it may be short also, but the main point is they're very rare. Got it? So it's a very specific information they ask for. It's not very generic. So what also happens is the search volume will be also less. Yeah, please go ahead. And there might be a lot of these long tail keywords. Some of them are very short, but very rare. So there could be so many of these combinations. Now there are something called a broad match modifier. So this one adds a little bit more specific. So it will not take any synonyms. So it'll mostly like look for slightly more closer variations, right? And then there are phrase matches. So phrase matches are
Just a quick info, guys. Test your knowledge of digital marketing by answering this question. Which of the following is the process of optimizing your website to rank higher in the search engine result pages? A. SEO, B. B2C, C. PPC, D. B2B. Comment your answer in the comment section below. Subscribe to Intellipaat to know the right answer. Now, let's continue with the session.
when those two words kind of like occur together. So it's a phrase. You will have a phrase match option. In some cases, you want to show exactly what people want to say. Show the ad only if people are searching exactly for that particular one item. One example is, let's say, you have written some article about Dhoom movie, right? Now, and let's say that article is about Amir Khan in Dhoom 3. You very clearly said you want to clearly show only to that particular mention where it is clear that it is about this particular version of the movie, about this particular actors featuring in that particular movie and something related to him. You don't want to show anything which is related to other Dhoom movies, or Dhoom might also mean 10 different things. It need not be a movie, right? It need not be linked to Amir Khan. It could be so many other things. You don't want to show random, right? You want to be clear that I want to show only when it is this exact phrase. That's where you have an exact match. So these are just technique as you type in the word into that and create ads, right? You just make sure that you write in this format. Again, like I said, 99% of you will never do this hands-on, and it is not required. You will not have to think at this level, but this is just for concept, just to remind you that these are possible. Now, but the last one is actually the concept that you need to remember, the concept of negative matches. So in some cases, what happens? We will notice that if people have a particular phrase, if people have a particular phrase in their search, then most probably he's not your customer. He's specifically not looking for you. For example, somebody searches for cheap smartphones, right? Smartphones under 5,000 or smartphones under 10,000 or smartphones, low budget smartphone or economy smartphones. iPhone or Apple will never want to put an advertisement there because they know that, there is phone in the word. So it's possible that Google may think it is relevant for me and show that Apple ad. It is a waste of money. So Apple will categorically figure out what are the specific keywords. The moment that word is there, it is definitely not for me. Clear? So that is one thing that you want to definitely stay away from, because it is not going to bring you any value. Then there is a negative match. So this is one concept that I want all of you to remember. Okay. Other broad match, phrase match, was that your search engine analyst or agency, whoever will do it for you. But negative match, you should think about it. So sometimes, because you are close to the business, you might know it, but the search engine analyst may not know about all of it. So you can give all the list of negative keywords, which can save you a lot of money in search engine marketing. The next customization that you have available is that when you create this ad group, so if you notice there is ad group and there is one window down where you can add all your keywords. Google also gives suggestions here, so you can just click on this button and keep adding them. It's that simple. So everything is in that interface. But the concept here is that it gives you a standard option and a dynamic option. So the dynamic option is where Google itself kind of figures out, hey, what is the best page to kind of like show to this customer, or what is the best ad to show that to that customer based on the keyword. Google itself kind of like dynamically figures it out and does it. Again, these are usually done by very nuanced sites, like, for example, a 99acres.com or Swiggy, right? If you are a small business or so, most probably you will not use a dynamic ad. because it requires a lot of back-end configuration and a lot of careful thinking. So if you don't get it, it's okay, not very important. But if it's very important to your business, most probably it's a very highly evolved advertiser for very specific use cases. There will be specific teams who will handle it. But just remember that there is a way that Google itself will figure, hey, what is the best ad to show to this guy based on the keyword? So you may have like added a bunch of them, but but you may not also not know which to match to which. But Google will figure out over a period of time and show what is the right one. So it is just a dynamic learning that Google does and kind of does on its own. So this is how you set it up. So this is a very good example for explaining dynamic keywords. Why it's also difficult to explain is, if you notice, it's by definition smart and learning. Got it? So it actually is your use case dependent. By definition is it's that way. So the best way to understand it is like spend some time on the page. It has so many examples within the Google Ads documentations itself. Here comes the last element of it. For each of the campaign that you run, right, after you create the ad, it'll show, this is the initial view that you saw in my dashboard as well. It'll just show like a summary and it'll have all the details that are required. You can click on this more button here, right? And you can even add other metrics. So here there might be these 10 metrics that are shown for ease of visibility, but based on your campaign type, you can add for any number of elements, and all of that will be shown here. So typically what happens is, based on what is necessary for you, you will customize, you will remove all the metrics that are not necessary and will download, right? And Google also has a lot of visualizations. So even when you get out of your campaigns dashboard and come to the overall overview, it will show the overall health of your account. So let's say if you are ICCI, this is what you see when you log in, an overall overview showing what is a click, what is the click-through rate, what is the CPC. Now, it may not be directly actionable because it's a cocktail of so many different campaigns. When you go down, you will see more specific details, but there will be like an overview. So if you see like very high cost against a keyword, you will have to think through, okay, probably there's something wrong in the way I have set this ad, or my ad is showing up, or there are too many people bidding on this keyword, right? Or my landing page is not good, or whatever I am discussing is not relevant to what the consumer is searching. So there are so many different aspects that will be understood. That you can like read out from here. This is just like there are an option to do only call only campaign. So even if you don't have a website app also, you can do just calls. This is an easy feature that you can use if you are a small business. All you have to do is, when you create the campaign, after you pick up your, obviously website traffic is not possible because you don't have a website. Lead generation is also not your goal. Your goal is to just get that quick sales and conversion. So typically not even leads. People generally prefer sales because it's just about getting that particular click. This is one simplest campaign. Like for example, there are some ads you don't have to worry too much about. Dynamic ads. Most probably there's someone else solving for it very extensively because it is linked closely to the catalog. There's a lot of learning and there are a number of things involved. But if you think of this is at the same time the most simplest format, which is just a phone call away. So you can just select the objective, just put your phone number and you will get that particular call. See, that will come up with this particular call extension that we discussed before. And we also spoke about ad extensions in the beginning, right? So in the dashboard itself, you will see that option. One interesting feature that you have available in the Google Ads dashboard is something called the Performance Planner tool. So what it does is it will give you like, future results of your search campaign. So it's more like a forecasting tool. You pick a certain set of keywords and you have your current campaign and its performance. All of this will give you future predictions. And how you play around with it is you come to the Google Ads dashboard and there will be an option to pick Performance Planner from the planning tab. And once you are in, you have to pick the specific campaign, and some campaigns, whichever campaigns have some amount of data. So it's basic analytics, right? So for any forecasting to happen, there has to be some amount of data from the past. So you pick any of the past campaigns, and within that, what is the time period in which you have to do forecasting? Now, it's one simplest example for this is just think of some products which are very seasonal sales. Suppose you have ran the campaign in 2019, there was a particular pattern in sales in 2019. Let's say during Diwali, your product was selling a lot. In festives, your product was selling a lot. Now 2020 has come. Now you're actually operating at a different budget in 2020 than 2019. But underlying consumer trends, interest will have similar patterns, right? Now, based on the new budget that you have, or the new optimizations or stuff that you may have done, what might your sales look like? That's a kind of prediction that performance planner bring. And it's best when there is some underlying seasonal trend or consumer behavior that you want to tap into. So display ads. So here's, and we have actually shown this slide sometime back in the past, right? Um, so what happens here? I mean, instead of just telling you guys in terms of like a definition of this, I will try to explain how this happens, how this network was laid out. Suppose I own a website. Let's say Umesh puts up a website, and let's say that website is about fitness. I have a lot of content around fitness. I want to, now in this case, I'm a publisher. I'm the owner of a website, correct? But I'm very clear that, I want to make money from my website. It's not a scenario where, I just put up content there for free. There is some way I have to make money. So what do I do within my website? Either on the masthead, which is like the top 1/3 or so of the screen of the first scroll, or on the sidebars or at the bottom, etc. I will add certain spaces where someone can place an ad. Now, it's not possible for me to just run around, find people who might be willing to put ad on my website and kind of, monetize it, right? So what do? I just tell Google, hey, Google, I would like to partner with you, and please make sure that somebody is able to put an ad on my website. And obviously, you will collect payment from that customer and payment from that advertiser, and you have to give me a cut of it, right? So basically, any website in the world which is a part of Google Display Network just does this, right? They have inventory on their site, and they also get a tool, just like we have Google Ads, and in the past this was called AdWords. They have something called Google AdSense, right? In the past. Now that is kind of like managed through a particular tool called Google Ad Manager. So all the website owner has to do is list specific places on his website and tell Google that, okay, Google, please take care of this banner placement. You can put whatever ad you want there, right? And since that particular placement became a part of Google's network, it is called Google Display Network. Now, although the term is Google Display Network, sometimes you will notice that, rich media ads will play there, right? Rich media in the sense that there's some amount of interaction, there's some amount of animation, etc., right? Or in some cases, there will be like, you will sometimes see video, short, simple video also play on some certain GDN placements. In some cases, you will even get surveys on GDN. There are something called brandometer. You don't have to think about what that is, and that feature is not available to all advertisers. Hence, we are not teaching you in that course. Only some top brands or top advertisers on Google get that feature. So Google is even able to survey on a placement. Okay, and some of you might have taken some of those surveys. So that is basically display network. And this concept of display network is very important. Google has its own display network. Facebook also has its own display network. It's called audience network. So what Facebook does is it wants to show ads even outside of Facebook, Instagram, etc., right? Which are on properties. So they will go collaborate with other websites, add them to their network. So this is an important concept, and you will see various kinds of networks in the world. Just like Google or Facebook has, there are Outbrain, Taboola, multiple networks in the world, right? But why do you think we try to learn Google Display Network? Why is it that, when we are teaching you about the concept, or not just us, in almost every course, you will notice that Google Display Network is stressed. What is the reason for that? Okay, I will give you an example. Let's say Anand starts a company. Anand starts a t-shirt selling business. So he sets up a website. There are various t-shirts. Let's say he lists, certain activewear or something like that as merchandise and sells them on his website. Now, when somebody starts advertising, they cannot obviously think of going and learning 20 different platforms, correct? An evolved advertiser like an Airtel or a Swiggy or the likes could have 1,000 different partners and 1,000 ways to advertise. But when someone starts, they will have to be sure that, okay, I invest minimum time, but I get maximum access in terms of marketer you will find will know at least one of these two. So it becomes very easy to get the talent. Understood? And one more thing is, where does GDN sit? GDN sits in the overall Google environment, and it is accessible, it is advertisable via Google Ads as a platform. So if you have that Google Ads account, you all of a sudden got access to search, you got access to display, you got access to Gmail, you got access to YouTube. So you got access to a lot of not only like various Google properties, but also different kind of ads. You can run video ads, search ads, display ads, everything. So when you are a new business, young business, when you are starting out, sometimes the best and easiest way is to start with Google and Facebook. So you can look around, you will hardly find any advertiser who don't have these. They may have other channels, but they will always have some amount of Google and Facebook at least, right? So this is something that is important for you guys to know. So suppose, let's say you are starting up. So I saw one of you guys were starting up your company. Make sure that you start with Google and Facebook because it's the easiest to get going, right? You need some help on it. You get help very easily. You can get started without too many complicated setups. You go talk to your analytics team, tech team, etc. Not just marketers, because you need them also to support you in your advertising and marketing readiness, right? They will also have some amount of exposure in most cases, in terms of doing the technical backend setups. Is that concept clear? And why it becomes easy is, so if you notice yesterday when we discussed Google search and we saw some dashboards, you guys might have felt that, oh my God, it's a little bit too much information, or, in this 30 minutes, I have to go through 5-6 different setup pages. It actually gets easier for you because what you will notice is that same pattern, because it's the same platform. Display ads also are created in a similar manner. There are a lot of similarities, right? Tomorrow you run, search and display together. All, you have already kind of like figured out that there are so many commonalities. Or you run shopping ads or video ads. There are so many things that are similar that your learning curve becomes easy, and learning one naturally makes you feel familiar with the other. So these are basically those, some on your screen, you obviously have one display ad, and obviously if you notice it's very clear that, it's obvious to all of you guys that it's an ad by Google, because on the right top corner, you can see this little tag called ads by Google. So when do we use these display ads? And here what we will do is, for ease, when we say display ads, think of them mostly as banner ads, okay? Because 90% of the use cases might be banner ads. And there is one more reason why banner ads are very common.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in digital marketing, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in digital marketing and analytics. It is taught by IIT professors and industry experts with more than 10 years of experience. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job. Now let's continue with the session.
Especially if you are a young company or an advertiser starting fresh, why do you think banner ads or display ads are very common? Just think of this case. Again, I'm discussing Anand's website. So I've already made Anand the business owner. Anand has started selling t-shirts. Imagine if he has to shoot a video film featuring that t-shirt or explaining the features. It will have production budgets, right? The video quality, to produce a good quality video, it might take a lot of time, or to create a large social media campaign, it may take time, correct? But display ad ke liye, it is so easy. You can make it in a Canva, or you can just call a designer, and when you sit with the designer itself, and you can just change what you want to put there, right? Your text can change. So for example, he starts saying that, hey, he has some t-shirts, and all of a sudden there is Halloween, right? And he wants to quickly build a few creatives. By creative, I mean advertisement. Okay, the technical word that is used is called creative. Okay, so he wants to build a creative, and it's so easy, right? You can ask your graphic designer, and based on how quick the graphic designer is, you will have the display ad ready. So let's say he starts selling Halloween t-shirts, and all of a sudden he creates those ads and puts them out there, and realizes that, okay, Indians are not very interested in Halloween, but let's say there is Dashera coming, and he wants to put some, and he realized that, okay, I have some Ravan themed t-shirts. Let me just put that up. Um, or he can just create it almost instantly. Given even there is just a graphic designer in the house, you can make it so quickly. You don't need so many different talent. So that is the flexibility that display ads also brings. That's why, even apart from all the other reasons, it's good in the mix. So any advertiser should have a good mix of banner ads and video and audio ads and rich media and everything in the mix. But one thing that always favors display advertising and banner advertising as a subset, when I say this, is because it's sometimes very easy to create those assets. Understood? So even when you guys are thinking through solving your marketing problems, sometimes just see if your marketing problem can be addressed by display network principally, and is it a case, and then it is easy to kind of like take it live, right? Okay, so obviously here now, why do you use display ads? Now I'm starting from the fact that we already learned search ads. In search, we were going to people who were specifically seeking information. So Anand will show the ad, let's say the Dashera Ravan t-shirt ad, only to people who are looking for Dashera themed t-shirts, right? So if there are 10 people searching for it, maybe he's able to reach 5 of them or 7 of them or 10 of them through Google Ads search, Google search ads. But let's imagine not all people are actively thinking about buying a Ravan themed Dashera t-shirt, right? But if you just tell people that, hey guys, check this out, there is this t-shirt, maybe people will get interested, and some of them will warm up to the idea of buying that t-shirt, right? So whenever you have to like build a little bit of extra awareness, it is a good, compared to search, this is something that can get you better reach, much more higher top of the funnel. And one more aspect of display ads is usually it works, and these are just generalizations. Okay, these are not truths. These are just to help you guys get some directions. A great product to promote. So for example, you will see cars, mobiles, laptops, which are aesthetically good. They typically do a lot of display ads. But, let's say a Vicro Vajradanti or Colgate may not do many display ads, right? Because the product is not impressive. Everybody knows what a toothpaste ad looks like, right? They may largely do a video or something like that, right? Where there are like characters and aapke toothpaste mein namak hai. They will do something, some jhol to kind of make it interesting. So that's one, just some generalizations. Yeah. And display ads are also good when, it might take a lot of time to convert a user. For example, think of Bluestone or Carrot Clean. Nobody decides to just buy a diamond immediately. You may have to continuously be present, keep reminding that person, show various of your ads over a period of time. Some of them may like some of your products and might convert, right? So not necessary that display is applicable only to such products, but when your products are of that kind, display is effective. And display ads are way cheaper also, relatively, right? Because you put it out there, it's easy to watch. Video, only some percentage of people are going to see through it. So eventually you end up paying a little bit more, right? But display, you just kind of like quick information right there, right? And that's where it is kind of like different from search. Yeah. And this is the Google Display Network. So when I talk about when Google started, their network over a period, what do they ideally want to do? They ideally want to reach 100% of the websites in the world, right? If you ask people working at Google and ask them, hey, what do you want GDN's reach to be? They will say 100%, right? But not necessarily like all folks sign up on Google. Like one example could be Hotstar, right? It is Disney owned. If you notice, Hotstar doesn't put much of his inventory on Google. So, for example, fire up the Hotstar app. Look at all the ads you come. You'll never notice a Google card ticker, right? So there are some websites which are not reachable, or some apps that are not reachable, but they still have a great reach. Very often, I've heard them quote figures like 60, 70%, etc. So there can be websites, there can be mobile apps. YouTube and Gmail are naturally Google-owned properties. Therefore they naturally come into GDN as well. Now this is about how do we create this campaign. So how to create a display ad campaign. So we will walk through steps. You will see the similarities between search, and since the pattern repeats, now you will notice that you are able to pick it up much faster. So in the Google Ads dashboard, you might remember we just click on the new campaign button, and this is where it starts. You have seen this screen already before. So last time we started with the search tab, right? The left top most, and that's where we went, and we went ahead creating campaigns. This time we're going to click the display tab, and interestingly, in the display tab, you will see 5 different objectives. Okay, so now one more way to also think through about when do I apply display is also just map it back to these 5 objectives. So when you need sales, or when you do lead generation, when you need traffic to website, consideration for your product, build some brand awareness, all of this display can work because those goals are kind of structured into the Google Ads platform already. So can anyone give an example of a sales application? Any business case where Google display ads may have to drive sales? So we will see that when we come to the creation. Here specifically placements will be shown. So why this particular ad creation exercise was difficult in search is because in search, there's very little thing for you guys to visualize. Understood? Yeah. So understanding search is slightly more difficult, but in the case of display, it's everything that we discuss are things you can like mentally visualize. So we will get into those steps, and then you can, then some of this will land for you. Yeah. So at an objective level, so it's the easiest way to think about it is think about this in blocks. Okay. I want website traffic. I go to that particular goal. Website traffic, I'll just start. Sales is, you understood, right? Very clearly, you are driving a conversion. Now, one more concept that I want all of you guys to understand is also the concept of a catalog. Okay, so every website at the back end has a catalog if it is selling something. Understood? So Amazon has a large catalog, right? Or Swiggy has a catalog of restaurants, right? Tata Click has a catalog of apparels and electronics and everything, right? So everyone has a catalog. So it's usually that catalog that websites use to kind of like drive sales. Now, second example is leads. Leads is very, the best example for leads is when a dealer runs an ad, right? Suppose when you click on some of the display ads for cars, you will notice that when you click on it, it might take you to a form where it will ask you details. It collects the lead details, and they will be like, we'll get back to you soon. So the objective there is to specifically collect leads, because you cannot sell a car online, right? As in, like, people don't click, and then only they will ask you to kind of like recommend that course, right? So there's a lead generation and sales happens later. Website traffic, best example is, think of something like Times of India or any of those newspapers. They want to put those ads to like get people in and get maximum traffic ASAP, right? Product and brand consideration, very obvious. So you may have seen when new products launch, they kind of like run some ads, and here, it's optimized for visibility. So that is the so I'll tell you what the example, one example. Suppose H&M launches a new collection, okay, and they are launching the summer collection. And you might know retail has two different seasons, right? There is summer season and there is winter. There are basically two releases in countries like India. So let's say they have released a new collection, let's say summer. They are, let's say when they start launching it, they want maximum people to just know about it. At that point of time, they are not just trying to just drive sale all the time. In some instances, you just want to tell people ASAP, because that creates that buzz in the market, correct? You might run some shopping ads also, you might run some sales ads also, that will be also happening parallelly, but there is that buzz creation that you want to do. So therefore you might do some awareness campaigns, right? And when you run an awareness campaign, it is optimized for recall, in the sense that Google will do a number of things to figure out, okay, I don't want to necessarily just sell this to this person, but I want to make that person aware that this product exists. So I will give you an example. Think of 2015 or 2017, when apps like Sirotha or Grow. You guys are aware of Sirotha and Grow, right? They just entered the market. They help you, basically do stock trading, or they have added products like mutual funds also. So when they entered the market, it's not like a lot of Indians were looking to invest in stocks. We did not have that culture 3-4 years back. They had to actually drive a lot of product awareness, brand awareness first, and get people to understand what this is, and later kind of like started becoming more salesy in nature. So very often, if it's a new product or you want to like create some buzz, you kind of go through and pick those specific objectives. Now, obviously, after you picked your objective, you're selecting, this is just, I scrambled the page a little, just select the display campaign. And within display campaign, there is an option to run a Gmail campaign or a standard display campaign. Gmail campaign is nothing but the ads that show up in Gmail. We'll address it later. But here, obviously, we will look at the first kind of display campaigns, the usual conventional display campaigns. After you select your campaign subtype, you are coming here and you're giving your campaign a name. And I spoke yesterday about why that name has to have a meaning, right? So you give it a name and you figure out which is a location that you want to select. So what happens is you can either you will see an global ad, an India ad, and then you can enter specific location. So if you start typing a location, Bangalore, it will start showing Bangalore rural, Bangalore urban, etc. Right? That way you can be very clear, or you can say Karnataka, it will start showing up. And thus you select what is the locality to which your ad should target. And in the bid strategy, so don't worry about this right now. We will discuss bid strategy in detail later. So if you remember, we discussed some bid strategy in search. Same way we will discuss bid strategy in detail. But right now we will just go with the flow and try to understand what are the things that you do while setting up a campaign. Here, for example, you select one of the bid strategies, which is manual CPC. And if you notice, it's a drop down, right? Which means that you can click off this drop down, see every option, and with exactly on the right side. If you see right side, there is this little tab which says with manual CPC bidding, blah, 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 right? So it will show exactly what that bid strategy will achieve for you. So you don't have to by heart or remember. Just go to the dashboard and it will have that option. And what does that option stand for you? It will mention specifically here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here, this is the bidding type. And one more thing, if you notice, there is an option called get guidance selecting a bid strategy. So you just have to tap on it and Google itself will give you recommendations. Okay. Which strategy is ideal? What strategy corresponds to what product? It will have information there. Next is the budget tab. So budget tab, you put an spend that you wanna do on a daily basis. And this is the bid strategy. So I already said that, we will address what are the specific bid strategies. So I will go through each of these strategies. First one, I will give you guys an example. Second, third, fourth, I will wait for you guys to think of and give me an example, right? I want to do a bit of a thought exercise. So one is target cost per acquisition. So this is where for every customer who convert, the idea is to convert maximum customers and convert them at a particular cost. So what happens is, and I'll tell you why this is important. Suppose, let's say you are some gourmet tea online or organic coffee online. So you have your brand and each of your unit is about 500 rupees. Let's say you sell about 300 grams of coffee for 500 rupees, your premium coffee, right? So basically what happens is you run the display ads. Somebody sees that, hey, there is a gourmet coffee, great branding, looks like it's from particular estate, looks good. They come, click, they check out your product and they check out. They come, check the product and they purchase the product. So that's basically an acquisition of a customer, right? But in this case, it might be very clear to you that, okay, if I am selling a 500 rupee product, I should be able to get sales under 50 rupees. If I am ending up paying up 100, 250, 300, I don't have a margin. So you are very clear that from a business perspective, you should get it at 50 rupees. All you have to do is put that cost per acquisition, which is your target cost per acquisition. So you say that 50 rupees looks like a good amount I want to pay. Okay, Google, just help me set the bids such that you get me that conversion at so and so rupees, right? And in this case, since it's a product, I gave you product as an example. In some cases, it might be linked to a video view or a download, etc., etc. But in this case, it's an easy example that's shared to visualize. So what happens? Google will itself set all the bids. So you don't have to worry about it. So you gave a daily budget. So if you notice, you already gave Google a budget, right? You already told Google which is the area location in which you want to run the campaign. So the minimal information that is required is being given. And you have said that, Acha, this is what, and you will give more information that comes in the next page. But you are at least telling Google that this is my primal thing. I should get that acquisition at this much rupees. Okay, do you understood the example? Does this mean that you can just put an amount and Google will always get you that, your target metrics at the exact amount that you mentioned? It could be like this. Let's say your coffee is terrible. I'm just giving you an example. Let's say your coffee, it doesn't mention which estate it is from. The branding is bad. It looks like, what you will get from a ration shop. And, you are asking a premium price. If your product is bad, people may not convert. Let's say in some cases, your advertisement doesn't look good. You may have a great product. Your advertisement doesn't look good. There could be so many reasons where that money is not possible. Or in some cases, what happens is when you run this, you will notice that a certain amount of money is getting burned every day. So you will notice, if I put 50 rupees as the limit and I give Karnataka as the location, I get about 20, 30 sales every day. If I have to get more sales, then I may have to at this cost per acquisition target, it may not happen. But you will see that equilibrium, okay? And it sometimes changes also. It will go thoda up and down, etc. But where it simplifies things for you is that you're very clear in saying that, acha, mujhe itna rupees pe conversion chahiye, right? And maybe you cannot pay anything above that amount. So you wait for that particular range of acquisition cost. And if, it doesn't scale up, you start trying another channel or you start selling in a different, in an offline channel or something like that. But you have figured ki, acha, mujhe itna hi pay karna hai, and you're going. In the case of maximize clicks, it is to kind of like get as many people to click on your ads. So here what happens is it will also start showing the ad to people which Google thinks are most probably going to click on your ad. So if you notice, a lot of this Google's intelligence comes from the fact that it knows so much about you. You know, you guys are searching, right? You guys are watching content on YouTube. You guys have your emails, you know, and you know they see everything. They see everything that you're doing, right? They have your Chrome browser and you're browsing on Chrome. So they know everything about you. Your all behavior more than you, Google knows it. What it does is, you know, it even knows that, okay, who is most probably going to click. Let's say Komal here, let's say she's a big cricket fan. Google knows that Komal is a cricket fan. And let's say Komal hates football. That also Google knows, right? So if the advertising is about anything about a cricket content, right? Anything about IPL, Google automatically knows Acha Komal is the person to go to, right? But if it is about football, Google is very clear there's no purpose showing Komal ads, rather show that ad to somebody else. Correct? So basically it is a maximization of clicks. Viewable CPM. Okay, this one I will let you guys think of a use case where this might be required. So for example, let's say Great Indian Festival is to be announced. There's no purpose, you know, announcing it. I mean, obviously, Great Indian Festival hasn't started. It's just pre-buzz creation, right? You just want to show to maximum people at the lowest cost, right? Therefore, you just set it there because there's no purpose optimizing this for sales in this case, because sales though it is not there only, correct? Because you know, Great Indian Festival has not started, but you want to tell people in advance so that they prepare, they get their credit card ready, they plan up what is it that they want to purchase, right? All of that. Next is manual CPC. So manual CPC is like you put a particular cost against the click. So, you know, yeah. So basically you say that Acha, my CPC, every click, I'm going to pay 3 rupees or 5 rupees or something you will set as your strategy. So one more thing is, for any brand, it's not like, you know, one strategy, one type of bid works all the time, right? Or a brand uses only one type of bid. It's not like that. Every campaign could have a different, each campaign could have a different type of bid, right? And sometimes even in the same campaign, you might actually split it into 2 sub campaigns and run with a different bid model on it. Okay, I will give you an example. Let's say, let's say you have launched a product in the, let's say there is a product launched in the electric scooter space. Now it's very clearly, there are some people who are crazy after this. They will like click, seek information actively, right? So you can probably run a manual CPC campaign for them, right? Or maximize clicks campaign, so that there's like more clicks coming and more people coming on the website, etc., etc. But there can be a cases where a lot of people are there who are not really aware about electric scooters. You know, the awareness level is low. So you might also run some of your budget on viewable CPM. So thoda maximal click pe dal diya, thoda viewable CPM pe dal diya, because you actually have like both of those kind of audiences in the mix, and Google itself kind of like figures out, optimizes, and kind of picks up, right? So very often you may have to like sometimes mix match, but you don't have to think about it very technically today. You know, when you know your category, when you know your product, when there is an actual use case, apne aap you will know, right? Do not try to map a bid type back to a use case. Start with your use case and then to the bid type, and then it is very easy. So even if it looks slightly tough for you right now, even if some of you may have, I think most of you got it, but even if it looks confusing, don't worry. When you actually have a solid business case, not a hypothetical business case. It looks difficult when we think of business cases in our mind. But when there is an actual business case, this almost looks very linear. Then even there, if you feel any confusion about how the algorithm works, I'm just scrolling back one slide and just reminding you guys that there is something called Get Guidance Selecting a Bid Strategy. Just click on it. and there will be enough pop-ups there that will show you what bid strategy works for each, and it will also have some examples. When you read it, it will be clear and you can select the bid strategy. So these are some of the other settings within display ads. So previously we saw like very generic settings, and these are like more specific settings. There is an option for ad rotation. So what happens is, let's say you have different ads in the same campaign. You can kind of like rotate and show various ads to consumers so that they don't get like bored of it, right? You can schedule it for various part of the day, start day, end day, type of devices. So you can select iPhone, Apple, tablet, etc., etc. Yeah. You can put frequency capping. That is something very interesting. So in display ads, you can say that, hey, per person, I don't want to show them more than 5 ads a day, because otherwise it will lead to fatigue, right? Or people may get irritated, right? And people may hate your brand, right? Therefore, you can put frequency capping, which is something very interesting about advertising, right? And you have something called content exclusions. Okay, content exclusions are sometimes called brand safety also. So you may have you guys understood what brand safety means? Very often content exclusions most of them are brand safety related. So suppose, let's say your ad is about, imagine your ad shows up on an adult website or a website that propagates hate. Think of your product as, let's say, something to do with meditation, and your ad is showing up on, a sleazy Bollywood website, right? Bollywood gossip website. It just looks out of place, correct? So based on your brand, so you can have some generalization like content, adult content, content about alcohol, or content about that involves politics, hate, anger, sports, anything. So it depends on your brand. What is that doesn't work for you? So you can do the content exclusions. So you can sometimes exclude kids content, because it's possible that the person who's using that website is the kid and not the adult, right? And your product is actually meant for adults who would actually probably buy the product. Kids actually are just using that person's device. So you can do some content exclusions, right? So that's the idea, and they are things that can actually help you, keep your brand safe, or it can save you from unnecessarily wasting impressions on particular websites, etc. Now, obviously, these are the main settings. And when you get into the ad group, so within campaign tree, there are ad groups, right? So within one campaign itself, you can create multiple ad groups. So for example, let's say your campaign is on ICICI credit card, and let's say this credit card has 5 or 6 different features. You can create specific ad groups addressing audiences who like each of those features. So let's say there is one feature of cashback. You can probably focus more on the cashback, put that in an image ad, in a display ad, in the creative, and run it more on people who may like cashbacks, who do a lot of shopping, right? Let's say your credit card also has a feature where you can, let's say, order that credit card home instead of going to a bank for a verification. So you can probably look at some audiences who actually, are far away from your location. I'm just going to cancel that example. It's actually slightly confusing. You can probably focus on audiences who seek more convenience, right? Convenience seekers. You will see such audience definitions in Google. So basically within the campaign itself, you could have multiple sub-targeting. So those are basically called ad groups. So when you select ad groups within the same campaign, you can have multiple ad groups, like I said, and each ad group can have a different targeting. So here, if you notice, you have selecting audiences based on their interests and habits. So this is called affinity and custom affinity. Okay. So affinity just means a like for something. Custom affinity is a little bit more specific. So for example, if somebody says foodies or food app orderers, it's affinity. If it's custom affinity, it is it's slightly more specific. Like interest in Swiggy or interest in Zomato, right? Now, Google has hundreds of thousands of definitions. So how do we figure out what is the definition that we want? We just have to start typing there. Okay, so let's say you are doing let's say you are doing an ad on credit cards. You start typing credit card. Right away, it will show a lot of suggestions which are related to credit cards. Various audience buckets who are classified based on credit cards. Or you start typing banking, and it will have so many different options. There are so many. It's just hundreds and thousands. That is ever evolving, ever changing. So that is the power of digital advertising, right? It will just show you so many different options. You don't even have to sometimes think what are the audiences that are required. You just put one or two key words in, and there are so many different suggestions. You will get ideas there itself, right? So you have to just select the audience. One more interesting aspect about display ads is you can now, if you notice here, so I'll just give you guys a little bit of time here. You can look at the second tab. Demographics is already set. You can look at the second tab. There is something called content. Just go through the various matches against that plus. So there was one question from one of the students in the beginning about how do you, where do you want your ads to show? Can you tell Google, right? This is like a larger level answer to it. So you can select it based on keywords, or topics or placements. So what you could do is, it's not necessary that it's mandatory, but you can use that. So for example, if your keyword is IPL, right? Let's say then what happens is any website that discusses IPL, your ad could get served there. This is something interesting. So I will give you specific examples with IPL as an example. Okay. Suppose you are selling IPL jerseys. So you want to show your ad to people, or let's say IPL tickets. So let's say you are Book My Show and you start selling tickets. So you want to put display ads and tell people that, hey, come buy IPL tickets. There are various ways in which you can target people, right? One is you just say that, hey, Google, show this ad in any website where the keyword IPL is there. So here you don't have to start worrying, hey, this is a sports website. Is it a news website? Is it, you don't really think about anything at all, but wherever that keyword is, by naturally in those sites where that particular text is present, your ad will start showing up. You can select particular topics. So topic, for example, it could be merchandising or team, something that involves cricket or cricket coaching, right? You select specific topics and or cricket reviews or cricket betting, right? You can, or match predictions. So you select a few topics, and whichever are websites that cover certain topics, Google will ensure that it shows there, right? And there is an option to select specific placements also. But we'll sort that out later. One more thing is that you can also, so earlier, if you selected a strategy, you will also see what is the bid that you want to put on this particular ad group as per that strategy. So earlier we selected max CPC. That is why in this case it's showing CPC option. So the interesting point is that you can have a different cost, different metric for every ad group. So if you have like 4-5 ad groups, one ad group you can put 10 rupees, the other ad group you can put 20, another ad group you can put 30. That's also a flexibility, different audiences, right? So therefore it'll let you customize the bid that you want to place. When you create the campaign, Google will show you some predictions. It will show you, hey, it's probably going to reach 22 million people, right? That's 2.2 crore people, right? It will show you with the bid that you selected. Since you selected 30 rupees as bid, probably you will get clicks in this range. Your average CPC will be this range. click-through rate will be this range, impressions will be this range. So you can play around with that bid. Yeah, so you can adjust it to 10, 20 and see how does the predictions change. So it's not shooting in the dark. Google will at least give you a range, and 90% of the time the number will be within that range. So these are all the technical setups. Now we will set to specifically designing that ad, right? So what does the ad say? So the ad is the element so whenever you start creating that ad, you will see a preview on the right side of your screen. So there's a short headline, there's a long headline, there's a character limit. So if you notice, short headline has a character limit of 25 characters, long headline has a character limit of 90 characters, and it immediately starts showing up on the right. So when you type, the preview will be then and there available for you. You can put which is the URL, which means what is the landing page, what is the business name that you want to show against the ad. All of those elements will come here. Okay. So suppose you put a URL here, and that URL may, if there are some images, it can pick up. But that's that's based on the structure of the website. That's a slightly technical thing, hence I did not get in there. Okay. Google can also pick up content from the URL that you're putting there. It can you can pick up images that you had previously uploaded, or you can create a fresh upload. All of that is there. Yeah. So what you would typically do is, when you plan an ad, you will create all those images with your graphic designer. So for example, in this case, it's, let's say, about exploration and travel. You might go and ask him, hey, can you make some either download some stock images. So in this case, there's a stock image that's uploaded. In some cases, you might have to download the image and work on it and add some elements to it. You can make him do that and then come in and upload. So these are the different display ad sizes. So GDN, which is Google's display network, can also host those video files. Understood? But when you say display ad, it actually means banner. Understood? So that's where the terminology is. Got it? When you say GDN, although it means Google Network, it can have this. So that's something I clarified in the beginning. Great that you asked again. So now you may have come full circle. Yeah. So for example, we do a lot of rich media ads. So those, they're all animated, moving stuff. It's not even technically simple banner. Something will be moving in that element. Yeah. So these are Google display sizes. So these are terminology. So there's something called International Advertising Bureau, IAB. They have set these standards. So, if you don't set standards, what will happen is there will be too many different placement types, and it will be very difficult for an advertiser to create for all the possible banner sizes that a publisher might come up with. So they came up with few standard formats. This is there in the deck. It will be with you. You can also just search online, just saying that standard display ad sizes, and IAB's International Advertising Bureau, their list will come up and it'll show all these sizes. So here it's also almost a representation, a scaled representation of their sizes. There will be leaderboards, skyscrapers, buttons, squares, etc. Now these are some of the do's and don'ts of creating display ads, right? So one thing, obviously have multiple copies, in the sense that, you may have noticed display ads kind of are cheap, right? So you can actually show it to people a lot of number of times. You may have to sometimes, follow them around for quite a long time, right? Because sometimes you're creating awareness. So you want to be in front of their eyes. So but therefore you need to have a lot of variants of your ads. And sometimes you may also have to customize your ads for various subgroups of people, sub-audiences of people, right? Do experimentation. Scale based on the experiments, right? One more thing is also that, you may have seen certain search ads working very well, right? Take that learnings into creating better display ads, because Search represents that acha, there is people who have some interest, right? For example, if uh, it says that, let's say, we see a lot of search volume for Pilates classes or yoga classes in a particular location. It is clear that okay, there's a lot of interest about yoga and Pilates, and some people are searching for it. Now there might be people who have not searched for it, but because they're all friends with these guys, there's naturally a lot more people who might actually have an interest, right? So sometimes you can look at your search ads, see what's working, and that might be a good starting point to design a few display ads and test. And obviously, in the case of most display ads, you want people to take an action. So just make sure that you have a call to action button. So see, anyway, people click at any point in the ad, naturally it will take you to the landing page. But we are all humans, we think very intuitively. So if you see a download button in a banner, there is a higher probability that you will click on it. The truth is, you don't have to specifically click on the part where it says download. You can click at any point of the ad and it will take you there. But still, it's important to kind of like have a clear call to action, right? And give as much information like prices, EMIs, things that kind of like drive interest, right? Um, and another thing is also sizes. So some people incorrectly assume that, okay, anyway, it's an ad, so let's go with the smaller sizes because sometimes smaller sizes work out cheaper. That's not always the case, right? Based on your category, based on your product, only some sizes may work. Automotive, you want to show your product, you want to show your car, so you might have to pick big placements, right? But you are in, let's say, credit card industry, so you don't have any photo or pictures of a credit card to show. It is meaningless. What you might want to show is what is a cashback, right? Or there is no annual fee. Such things might be sometimes depicted in small ad sizes, and might actually work out well for you, right? So based on your campaigns, categories, etc., you have to slowly figure out what is the sizes that work. You can't say that acha, big one works, small one doesn't. Generalizations don't really work. Got it? So these are two kinds of ads in the Google Ads environment. There is shopping ads, video ads, which we will see later. Okay. I'm going to take a pause here and going to start with a different topic. Remember, this is not a platform, it is a topic. It's a topic called remarketing. Okay, so don't think of remarketing is another type of ad within Google Ads. No, it is the type of ads within Google Ads are display, search, shopping, video. Yeah, remarketing is actually more of a marketing principle. Correct? It's a kind of marketing that is possible only in digital, and you can do remarketing in various platforms. You can do remarketing in Facebook, you can do remarketing in display ads, you can do remarketing in video ads of Google, right? And I spoke about so many different other advertising platforms. There are other advertising platforms like MediaMath, Trade Desk, Criteo. Don't think about what these are. They're slightly more nuanced and sophisticated. All of them have remarketing. Okay, so remarketing principally means, so you should, rather than going with a technical definition, think of remarketing as this. You got some signal about a user, okay, in the sense that you are not actively seeking out new audience, but you have some signal to identify a user who is potentially a customer or a user whom you want to follow up with. So you specifically know who is the person you want to go after, right? Or go back to, not go after, go back to, because that person somehow came and either gave you a lead or came to your website or or viewed an advertisement of yours already, right? So you have some signal about this user. In that signal, it's nothing but a cookie or an ad ID, or in the case of Apple, it's an IDFA. So these are all like the technical things behind it. It's just the identifier that identifies the user.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in digital marketing, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in digital marketing and analytics. It is taught by IIT professors and industry experts with more than 10 years of experience. This course is designed to upskill and land your dream job.
We have come at the end of the session. Kindly subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates.